Welcome to our webinar entitled Prepare Your Spouse to be a Financially Savvy Survivor. We want to share some financial planning strategies for couples for the benefit of the person in your household who may not be handling the finances yet. Because life throws curveballs and things change, we want you as a couple or individually to be prepared for eventually transitioning the finances to a survivor. We had this presentation planned long before the COVID-19 pandemic we're in the middle of right now, and I seriously thought about presenting something else under the circumstances, thinking maybe I don't want to add to the concern a lot of people have right now about matters of life and death. But I decided this is a timely discussion and an important topic, and I hope it can actually bring some comfort that good planning can bring. So please take it in that spirit. These are our disclosures. We're both securities licensed and insurance licensed, so we offer all kinds of investment options. We're not going to talk about specific investments today, just general concepts. We can talk about your household investments anytime you like. Just call to set a date and time. In the book, I tell the story of a couple who engaged with us after a public seminar. And in one of the early meetings, after talking about capital gains on a piece of property out of state and where to invest the proceeds of the sale of the property, near the end of the meeting, I asked the gentleman if he had other questions. And then I turned to the wife and asked her the same thing, and she said, "I just hope I die first." Think about that. I hope I die first, because she didn't feel like she understood everything well enough. The husband had been handling the finances and she just felt lost. So from then on, we took a little extra time each meeting to help her understand just one thing at a time, to kind of catch up so she didn't have to feel so exposed. And we told her, look, nobody knows everything about everything, but we're your advisors. When you need help with things, we'll be there. You don't have to worry. So here are the 3 steps to making sure your spouse is a savvy survivor. Number 1, have a plan. Work with a financial professional to project your life all the way through retirement. Number 2, share it. It's okay if one of you is more into the details than the other, but you should both have at least a basic working understanding of the plan. And finally, number 3, keep it updated. Update it when things change or if it's been a while. And between updates, look at it once in a while. Give it a skim every year at least. You may spot things that need to be updated. So if number 1 is to have a plan, how do you know what to include in the plan? There are a lot of ways to approach financial planning, but my book is a good overview of the major planning areas. And if you don't have this year's edition, let us know and we'll send it to you. But for current rules and laws, especially tax rules, don't depend on any book or even the internet unless the information includes a date stamp. Otherwise, talk to a professional for current laws and tax rules. But this book is a good source for general planning information and ideas. Here are the major financial planning areas in the book. Building a plan, income budget and accumulation planning, risk management, and that can be a lot of things from an emergency fund to insurance to identity theft and scams, investing, tax management, estate planning, and finally retirement planning. Each of these areas is a chapter of the book, and we're not going to get into all of these topics today. We just want to get you on the right track. We're just going to focus on that first item, building a plan, because your plan will include all of these other things if it's done correctly. You'll have a plan, and if you work on it together as a couple, it's shared, and then you just have to update it as needed. So at the beginning of each chapter of the book is a checklist of the bottom line items you should think about and plan for. So for chapter 1, here are the checklist items for building a plan. It starts with the bottom line item, which we do in each chapter. So the bottom line for building a plan is have a financial plan at every stage of your life, aligned to your goals, and your resources. Now, there's a lot to unpack in there. You have to talk to each other about what your goals are, talk about it together, and how that may change if one of you passes. Same with your resources. If you're both receiving Social Security, for example, that income will drop if one of you dies. Will you then need to downsize the house or liquidate other assets? If your advisor does a retirement analysis for you, it should show what happens when you both live a long life, but it should also show what happens if one of you dies early. Will the income be enough? And if not, what are the possible solutions? And then it should also show what happens if the other spouse dies early, maybe a totally different result and a different strategy in that case. Second bullet, as soon as you question your ability to handle any aspect of your plan competently yourself, get professional assistance. Work with a team of advisors with whom you're compatible. Research their qualifications, experience, track record, and their professional designations. Well, let me take a short detour off of the checklist and show you what we mean by team for this chapter about planning. For building a plan, this is what we mean by a team of advisors. It typically includes a financial planning professional, an investment advisor, and sometimes those can be the same person, an accountant for your taxes, an attorney for your legal documents like wills and trusts. You may need insurance professionals for life insurance, property and casualty, health insurance, including Medicare supplements, long-term care insurance, and in some cases a real estate professional, and maybe a business planning specialist if you're a business owner. The book goes into detail about what to look for when you're selecting advisors. But this is your team of advisors, and for couples, you should both know who your advisors are and how to reach them and what they do. Meet with each of them together. It doesn't have to be every meeting, but if there are going to be major changes or updating your will or trust, for example, you should probably both meet with the attorney. Now, when you meet with an investment advisor, maybe one of you is just not into that and a lot of it flies over your head. Meet anyway. Make them take their time and explain things to you. Again, you should both have at least a basic understanding of where your assets are and how they're invested. Okay, back to the checklist in the planning chapter. There are two kinds of advisors. Seek an independent financial advisor instead of a captive advisor. Understand how your advisor is paid and be clear on the scope of your planning engagement with each of your advisors. A captive advisor works for a particular company, like an insurance company or an investment company. You know, the big names that make investing products or insurance products. Those advisors may have to stick with the products their company offers. So that may be limiting for your planning. It may work okay, but all things being equal, try to find an independent advisor who may be able to offer a wider range of solutions. For example, we use Vanguard index funds in a lot of our investment portfolios because they're low cost, well diversified, and lower investing costs may mean better performance because more of the money stays in your account working for you. If I worked for, say, Acme Mutual Fund Company, I'm making that up, but I might have to stick with Acme Mutual Funds. I might not be able to use Vanguard funds even if I think it's better for the client. And maybe Acme funds are okay, or maybe it's not ideal. If I'm captive, I'm stuck with it either way, and you're stuck with it. We're independent, so we have more flexibility. So I went down a rabbit hole there a bit. But just understand that each bullet in each chapter is followed by more detail so you can understand how this all works. Next bullet, familiarize yourself with the general steps of the financial planning process. Understand the products and processes you and your advisor will use to fulfill your plan, and ask questions. Yes, ask questions. Don't be shy. Some clients are well versed on planning processes, investing, and so on, and some clients know very little about it. Your advisor is getting paid to answer your questions. It's the least they can do. They don't mind, and if they do seem to mind, you probably should look for another advisor. Here are the final checklist items for this chapter of the book. For couples, be aware of planning issues specific to your situation. Maybe you want to donate your required distributions to a church or charity, for example. Maybe one of you is disabled, maybe one of you is still working and the other one isn't, which can change the planning process. Every couple is different. Share with your advisors what is unique about your situation so the plan works for you. For business owners, we got a bullet there. You have special considerations for every financial planning area. Seek experienced professional guidance. Now, we include some guidance in the book, but really every business needs a plan in case something happens to the owner or a key employee. Now, if this bullet doesn't apply to you, cross it off. I won't get mad if you write in the book, by the way. Use it any way that works for you. And finally, last bullet for everyone. Now, this is a big deal. For everyone, organize your finances and records in a way that will help your survivors pick up the pieces more easily and effectively if you die unexpectedly. Now, here's a quote from Albert Einstein about that. If a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, then what about an empty desk? You know, another quote from Einstein is, I never said half the things I'm quoted as saying. So does this desk look anything like yours at home? Some of you, yes. So you're the Einstein in your home? Is that giving you too much credit? Some of you won't admit it. Well, if you handle the finances in your household and your spouse doesn't, whose desk do you think this is in your home, right? So if the Einstein who takes care of the finances dies, and this is their desk, what is the survivor going to have to do within the next few days and weeks? If you're the one handling the finances and bookkeeping, I'm not saying you have to transform yourself into a neat freak, but if you're the survivor, will this be your first question when you find yourself suddenly on your own? Where is everything? Well, when you become our client, we offer a solution to this really basic problem, and it's the kind of thing you can do yourself if you're a client or if you're not. It's our survivor's guide. And again, you can create something like this yourself. It's like a table of contents for your financial life. And as you can see on the cover, this isn't something we do for ourselves. We do it for our family, the ones we leave behind to pick up the pieces. This just makes all those pieces easier to find, easier to pick up, at a time when the last thing your survivors want is to have to dig through Einstein's desk. So here's what's in there. There's a place for your personal information, which would be all kinds of things. Contact information for your insurance agents, stockbroker, your attorney, the plumber, your creditors, where your assets are located, where your car titles are, safe deposit box location, banking information. Not account numbers and social security numbers because you don't want those laying around the house, but where to find all this stuff. And then a tab for copies of your wills and trusts, your insurance policies, your healthcare directive, powers of attorney, tax information, real estate deeds or copies, everything. There's even a form where you can write your own obituary and eulogy so you get the last word again, right? Make sure they say something nice about you, right? So it doesn't take an Einstein to come up with something like this, but it's a guide, a checklist for what kinds of things you need to get organized. And it's not something you do overnight. It's a project. You work on it over time, pull the information together, work on it as a couple. And we'll give you one of these if you're a client. It's another way we help you sleep at night because you've taken care of this. Your survivors can find everything. And maybe it's the surviving spouse who will use this first. Do you both know where everything is? If you both helped pull all this stuff together, you'll both know. And when you find yourself suddenly on your own, this becomes yours and you update it for your own survivors to benefit from someday. And it's something you can teach your kids to do too. Show them where this is. Show them what you did for them. So those are the checklist items for building a plan. Now there's a checklist for every one of these 7 chapters. So get the book, look in the front of each chapter for the bottom line checklist in bold italics, cross off the items that don't apply to you in each of those checklists, and then dig into the checklist items that do apply to you. The book goes into a bit of detail on all of that, not too deep for the most part. I tried to keep it pretty basic so you can actually use it for your own planning. Or you can do your own research on these planning areas. You don't have to use my book. There are lots of good books out there and websites that can help you plan, even some decent sites that can help you run a simple retirement analysis. Of course, we'd love to be the ones to help you with all that. We're experienced and our clients seem to appreciate the process and the results. But whether it's with us or not, again, have a plan, share it, and update the plan when things change or if it's been a while, and look at it once in a while. We hope some of this is reassuring for some of you and reassuring that you can help your spouse to be better prepared for the unexpected and to be an informed consumer. Reassuring that there are professionals available to help with things like shopping for Medicare supplements, help plan your retirement income, look at your investment options, and all the rest. But some of this will be a call to action on planning items that both spouses need to think about and be able to take control and prepare for. So get to know some estate planning basics to help protect your assets and your heirs. Review your risk management picture, your life insurance, plan for managing your investment income and Social Security income all the way through a potentially long retirement. Plan for economic recessions so you can maybe improve your chances of not running out of money, and plan for long-term care funding. If you're not the one currently handling the finances, get organized. Understand what has to be done if you suddenly have to take control. And make sure your loved ones know where everything is, what needs to be handled if something happens to you. But again, maybe the most important takeaway is that you both need to know where to get the help you need, what to look for in a financial advisor, and who else you'll need on your team to help you manage your financial life for your benefit and for your family. And if any of that is not clear to you right now, here's our number and location. Call if we can help anytime. Thank you so much for attending, and have a great day.